Stop for a second. I need you to do something. Right now, pause and look at the clock. Yes, look at it. Which country are you in? What time is it in your country? Wherever you are, whatever hour it is, I need you to understand this. There is something in your life right now that is quietly controlling you. Maybe fear, maybe attachment, maybe the things you hold on to and think will keep you safe. Here's the truth nobody is telling you. If you keep holding on the way you do, it is slowly destroying you. But if you let go, everything can change. Most people will stop watching because the truth is too real, too uncomfortable. But if you stay and really listen, by the end of this video, you will never look at yourself, your fears, or the world the same way again. Ask yourself, are you holding on to what hurts you because it feels safe? Or are you ready to release it and finally breathe? Wherever you are, whatever time it is, this is your moment. Life is calling you. This is not theory. This is life or death. And if you watch until the end, you will discover the secret that turns fear into freedom, attachment into peace, and ordinary life into something extraordinary. Attachment is the root of fear. Every fear you feel, deep in your heart, comes from something you are holding too tightly. It could be fear of losing someone you love, fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of change, fear of the unknown. All of these fears are born from attachment, your mind and heart clinging to things, people, or ideas as if they will never leave. But life is not permanent. Everything changes. People change, situations change, feelings change, even your own thoughts change. When you hold too tightly, you build invisible chains around your heart. These chains weigh you down. Fear lives there. Think of holding water in your hand. If you squeeze it tightly, the water slips away faster than you can hold it. But if you open your hand, even a little, the water rests gently, without slipping. Life works the same way. The more you try to control it, the more fear grows. The moment you loosen your grip, even slightly, a sense of freedom appears. You realize you don't need to force life. You don't need to control what cannot be controlled. Attachment tricks you into believing that if you hold on, you will be safe, you will be happy, you will be complete. But the truth is, nothing you hold on to can give you lasting security. The more you cling, the more fear tightens its grip. Every time you try to protect something from leaving, life reminds you that nothing stays forever. The secret is simple but powerful. Release just a little. Stop trying to control everything. Stop fearing every change. Stop holding your heart so tightly. Let life flow through your hands like water. When you do this, fear begins to fade. You start to feel a lightness in your chest, a quietness in your mind. Even for a moment, even a small release, you touch freedom. You realize that you are not your attachments. You are not the things you cling to. You are the awareness that watches them come and go. The moment you loosen your grip, fear loses its power. Your heart begins to breathe again. Life, which felt heavy and dangerous, begins to feel gentle and possible. This is the first step to true freedom, understanding that fear comes not from the world, but from how tightly you hold on to it. Let go, trust the flow, and watch how life softens, even in the face of uncertainty. Fear disappears when you let go. Fear only exists because we are holding on. We cling to outcomes, to people, to expectations, to the life we imagine should happen, and in that grip, fear grows. Fear is not life itself, it is the resistance to life. The moment you loosen your hold, fear begins to fade. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means freeing yourself from the chains you have wrapped around your own heart. When you try to control everything, every detail, every moment, you exhaust yourself. Your mind races, your body tightens, your heart pounds with worry. You think you are protecting yourself, but in truth, you are trapping yourself. Fear cannot survive when you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. Letting go is not losing something, it is gaining yourself. Think of a leaf floating on a river. If it tries to steer or hold its place, it tears, struggles, and sinks. If it surrenders, if it allows the current to carry it, it moves gracefully, effortlessly, reaching wherever the river flows. This is how letting go works in life. You cannot control the river, but you can let the river carry you without fear. Letting go also means letting go of the stories you tell yourself, the story that you are not enough, the story that someone or something must protect you, the story that life should be fair. These stories are chains that feed fear. When you release them, even for a moment, a new space opens inside you. Your chest feels lighter, your mind feels clearer, and your heart feels open. Fear loses its power not because danger disappears, but because you are no longer resisting what is. Every attachment, every expectation, every need to control is a weight on your heart. When you release them, you are not leaving the world behind, you are stepping into it more fully. Life feels alive, vibrant, and expansive. You notice small joys, small miracles, moments you could not see when fear had your attention. Letting go transforms your perception of life itself. And here is the truth. Letting go is not a single act. It is a continuous practice. Every time you catch yourself clinging, every time you feel fear rising, you can choose to loosen your grip. You can choose to breathe, to accept, to trust life as it unfolds. Each time you do this, fear weakens, and a calm, steady courage takes its place. The power of letting go is in the freedom it brings. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to control everything. You do not need to hold on so tightly. Fear disappears because you stop feeding it. You begin to see clearly that life, with all its changes and uncertainties, is not something to be feared. It is something to be experienced. And when fear disappears, something extraordinary happens. Life becomes lighter, your heart becomes stronger, your presence becomes deeper. You move through the world with a quiet courage, a gentle awareness, and a freedom that cannot be shaken. The moment you let go, fear has nowhere to live. It vanishes, and in its place, life flows. Trust the flow of life. Life is a river, always moving, always changing. No matter how tightly you try to hold on to it, no matter how carefully you plan or predict, life will flow as it will. Trusting this flow is one of the most powerful steps toward freedom and peace. Most of our suffering comes from resisting life, fighting what is, worrying about what might be, trying to control what cannot be controlled. When you let go of this resistance, you begin to see life clearly, and fear begins to dissolve. Trusting the flow does not mean doing nothing or giving up. It means acting without clinging to the results, without demanding that life bend to your will. It means embracing uncertainty with open hands and an open heart. Imagine standing in a river. You cannot stop the water. You cannot make it flow the way you want. But if you let yourself float with it, if you trust that the current will carry you safely, you move effortlessly, without struggle, without fear. When you trust life, you stop needing to know every outcome. You stop fearing what is not yet real. You stop holding on to what cannot last. You begin to understand that endings are not failures, that change is not a threat, that loss is not the end of your story. Every challenge, every unexpected twist, every moment of uncertainty is not an enemy but a teacher. Trusting life allows you to receive its lessons without panic, without resistance, without fear. Think about the wind. You cannot see it, you cannot hold it, yet it moves the trees, carries the clouds, refreshes the air. Life moves in the same way. You do not need to control it to benefit from it. You only need to trust it, to move with it, rather than against it. When you do, a quiet confidence arises inside you. You realize that life itself is not dangerous, it is your resistance to it that creates fear. Trusting life also means trusting yourself. You are capable of facing what comes, of handling the unknown, of surviving every change. Every time you act with presence rather than panic, every time you breathe through uncertainty instead of clinging, you strengthen this trust. Slowly, steadily, fear loses its grip, and a calm courage takes its place. When you truly trust the flow, life feels lighter. Ordinary moments become meaningful. Every step, every breath, every encounter becomes a part of a greater rhythm. You begin to notice that life, with all its surprises and twists, is moving exactly as it should, and you are moving within it, alive and awake. The river does not need your control. You do not need to force the current. You only need to trust, to let go, and to flow. And here is the quiet miracle. When you trust the flow, fear does not just fade, it disappears entirely. What remains is presence. What remains is life, full, alive, and ever-changing. You discover that freedom is not somewhere in the future, it is here, now, in the act of trusting, in the act of letting life move as it must. Release the need to define life. Life is not something you can mold, control, or predict. It does not follow your plans, your schedules, or your expectations. The suffering you feel often comes from trying to force life into the shape you imagine it should take. You want life to behave a certain way, people to act as you hope, outcomes to match your desires. But life refuses to be defined. It moves, changes, and surprises regardless of your expectations. The moment you release the need to define it, fear begins to vanish and a quiet freedom arises. Imagine trying to hold a cloud in your hands. You can grab, squeeze, shape it, and yet it slips, shifts, disappears. Life is like that cloud. The more you insist it conform to your ideas, the more it evades you. But when you release your hold, when you stop demanding it be a certain way, you see its beauty. You see the light shining through, the sky expanding above, and the infinite possibilities that were hidden behind your expectations. Releasing the need to define life is not giving up. It is a deep trust in the natural unfolding of things. It is understanding that life is bigger than any one plan, any one idea, any one moment. Every loss, every surprise, every failure is not a deviation from the path, but a part of it. When you stop labeling things as good or bad, right or wrong, when you stop clinging to how life should look, you start experiencing life as it truly is, alive, vibrant, and free. Most of us live trapped in the story of how life should be. We carry a script written by our fears, desires, and insecurities. We measure everything against this script: the people around us, the jobs we have, the events that happen. And when life doesn't match the script, we suffer. But life is not a script. Life is not something to be defined, controlled, or predicted. It is a river, a wind, a moment unfolding after moment. To release your need to define it is to step into its flow, to move with it rather than against it, and to finally breathe. Releasing the need to define life also means releasing the tight grip on your own identity. You are not your past, not your failures, not your possessions, not even your roles. These are parts of life, but they are not you. The more you cling to them, the heavier your heart becomes, the stronger your fear grows. The more you loosen your grip, the lighter you feel. You begin to realize that life itself, in all its unpredictability, is enough. You yourself are enough. You do not need life to be a certain way to be at peace. And when you truly let go of the need to define life, something extraordinary happens. You notice small joys you had missed. You embrace the beauty of change, the freedom of uncertainty, and the depth of each moment. Life no longer feels like a problem to solve or a script to follow. It becomes an experience to be lived, a journey to be felt fully. Fear no longer tightens your chest. Resistance no longer blocks your heart. You move with life, light, present, and free. This is the quiet miracle. Freedom does not come from controlling life. Freedom comes from surrendering to it, from letting go of your need to define it, from trusting the flow, and from accepting every moment as it is. In this surrender, life softens, your heart opens, and fear loses its power completely. Observe without reacting. Most of the suffering in life comes not from what happens around us, but from how we react to it. We feel pain when something doesn't go as we want. We feel fear when we imagine loss or danger. We feel anger when life feels unfair. And yet, the truth is that life itself is neutral. It does not punish or reward. It simply unfolds. The turmoil exists in our reactions. When you learn to observe without reacting, you step out of the storm and into clarity. Observing without reacting does not mean ignoring life or pretending you do not feel. It means seeing clearly what is happening without letting it control your mind or your heart. Imagine sitting beside a river. The water flows past, carrying leaves, twigs, and debris. You do not try to stop it, you do not try to grab it, and you do not push it away. You simply watch it. In the same way, observe your thoughts, your emotions, and your fears. Notice them fully. Name them silently if you wish, and then let them pass. When you react, fear multiplies. When you resist, pain grows. When you judge, suffering lingers. But when you observe, you create space. Space between stimulus and response. Space between thought and action. In this space, the mind becomes quiet and the heart becomes free. You begin to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are not your fears. You are the awareness that watches them. And awareness is unshakable. Awareness cannot be frightened, cannot be disturbed, cannot be chained. Observation without reaction also teaches patience. Life moves at its own pace, and people behave in ways you may not expect. Situations unfold in ways you cannot control. When you observe calmly, without rushing to act, you begin to see patterns, to understand causes and effects, and to respond with wisdom rather than fear. This calm observation turns what once felt overwhelming into something manageable, even beautiful. The practice is simple, yet profound. Notice when your mind tightens with fear. Notice when your chest grows heavy with worry. Notice when your heart clings to people, events, or outcomes. Breathe into it, simply see it, and do not react immediately. Let the thought pass. Let the feeling pass. Let the moment flow. The more you practice this, the less fear controls you, the less anger consumes you, the less suffering dictates your life. When you truly observe without reacting, you discover the deepest freedom. Life continues around you, as it always has, but you move within it with clarity, calmness, and presence. You are no longer tossed by every wave, no longer trapped by every gust of wind. You see life as it is, not as your fears or desires make it appear. You discover that peace was not somewhere to find, it was always within you, waiting for your awareness to notice. And here is the quiet power of this practice. Even in the middle of chaos, even when everything seems uncertain, even when fear and anger rise, you remain untouched at the core. You do not need to fix, control, or escape. You simply observe, breathe, and move with life. Fear begins to dissolve naturally because it no longer has a place to live. In this observation, liberation appears, simple, silent, and profound. Small acts of letting go lead to freedom. Freedom is not found in a single grand act. It is not discovered in one decisive moment of courage or clarity. True freedom is gentle, quiet, and cumulative. It grows from small acts of letting go, tiny releases that seem insignificant at first, but over time reshape your mind, your heart, and your life. Every time you loosen your grip on a thought, an expectation, a fear, a desire, you create space inside yourself. This space is where life begins to flow naturally, effortlessly, and without struggle. We spend much of our lives trying to holding on to what we think will make us happy, holding on to people, to plans, to the way we want things to be. And with each grip, fear grows. Each attachment, each expectation, each insistence that life should follow our script adds weight to our heart. But when we let go just a little, moment by moment, the heart feels lighter. The mind begins to calm. The chains that bind us to worry, anxiety, and fear begin to loosen. Letting go does not mean giving up on life, nor does it mean abandoning responsibility. It means releasing the need to control what cannot be controlled. It means choosing to respond to life with presence instead of panic. It means trusting that even when outcomes are uncertain, you are capable, you are resilient, and you are enough. Every small act of release is a quiet rebellion against fear, a gentle reclaiming of your own freedom. Think of it like walking on a path with heavy stones in your hands. Each stone represents a worry, a fear, a clinging thought. At first, you may feel you cannot release even one, that you must carry them all. But if you put down one stone, and then another, the load becomes lighter. Step by step, stone by stone, your journey becomes easier. This is how small acts of letting go transform your life. The journey itself teaches patience, courage, and trust. These acts can be as simple as letting go of the need to argue, the need to be right, the need to impress, the need to hold on to resentment, the need to control outcomes. Each time you release, even for a moment, you practice freedom. And freedom is contagious. It spreads to your thoughts, your emotions, and your presence. It touches your relationships, your work, and the way you perceive the world. The power of small releases lies in their quiet, unnoticeable nature. Life often asks for our surrender, not through dramatic moments, but through the simple, ordinary events of each day. Letting go of impatience, letting go of anger, letting go of expectation, letting go of fear. These are the stones you put down, one by one. Over time, what was once heavy becomes effortless. What once felt impossible becomes natural. What once bound your heart becomes a memory of struggle, replaced by calm, clarity, and freedom. When you practice these small acts of letting go, fear loses its home in your heart. Anxiety loses its grip on your mind. You begin to move through life with grace, lightness, and presence. You discover that the freedom you longed for was never something outside yourself. It was always inside, waiting for you to release the weight you were carrying. And here is the quiet miracle. You do not have to let go of everything at once. Each small release is enough. Each small act of surrender is enough. Step by step, moment by moment, your heart opens, your mind clears, and your life begins to flow naturally. Freedom is not a distant dream. It is here, now, in each small letting go, patiently teaching you how to live fully, lightly, and fearlessly. Fear is the shadow of clinging. Fear is not born from the world itself. Fear is born from the way we hold on to the world. It is the shadow cast by our attachments. Every time we cling to people, to outcomes, to ideas, to our own sense of who we are, we give fear a place to live. The tighter we hold, the darker the shadow becomes, the heavier the heart grows, and the louder the mind protests. Fear is not real in itself. It is the echo of our resistance, the reflection of our grasping. Think about a tree. Its roots cling to the soil, but if the roots hold too tightly and cannot adjust, the tree cannot bend in the wind and will break. Life is the wind. Attachments are the roots that refuse to yield. Fear is the stress that grows in the rigidity. The more rigid we become, the more afraid we are of losing, of changing, of facing what comes. But if we loosen the roots, if we allow ourselves to bend with the wind, fear loses its grip, and the tree, like the heart, stands resilient and alive. Fear arises when we imagine what we might lose, when we worry about what might happen, when we try to protect ourselves from the impermanent. We cling to relationships, thinking they must last forever. We cling to achievements, believing they define our worth. We cling to identity, convinced we cannot survive if it shifts. And in that clinging, fear grows. Every thought of loss, every anticipation of failure, every imagined threat becomes a shadow stretching across our hearts, blocking the light of freedom and peace. The truth is simple. Nothing you cling to can give you lasting safety or happiness. All things change. People leave. Life shifts. Circumstances fluctuate. The tighter you grasp, the more suffering you create for yourself. But when you notice the shadow, when you see fear for what it is, you can begin to loosen your hold. You do not need to let go all at once. Even the smallest release, the gentle acceptance that life is changing, the quiet realization that you are not defined by what you hold, creates a crack in the shadow. Light begins to enter. Fear begins to fade. Fear is also a teacher. It shows us where we are holding too tightly. It shows us the attachments that bind our hearts and minds. When we face it calmly, without panic, without reaction, we begin to understand ourselves and the nature of life. We see that fear cannot survive in a heart that is willing to release, that trusts, that flows. The shadow only disappears when we stop clinging, when we stop resisting, when we stop trying to control what cannot be controlled. It disappears when we realize that life itself, in all its uncertainty, is enough. That we, ourselves, are enough. That even in loss, even in change, Even in endings, life continues, and we can continue within it, free, present, and unafraid. And here is the quiet miracle. The moment you loosen your grip, the moment you release even slightly, fear dissolves. The shadow retreats. Light fills the space. You feel your chest open, your mind calm, your heart alive. Freedom is not something in the future. It is here, now, whenever you stop holding on so tightly. Fear exists only in the place you allow it to live. Loosen your hold, step lightly, breathe deeply, and watch the shadow fade into nothing. Freedom transforms life. When you release attachment, when you let go of fear, when you stop resisting life, a transformation occurs. It is quiet at first, almost imperceptible, like the first light of dawn brushing the horizon. You notice that your chest feels lighter, your thoughts less tangled, your heart more open. Life, which once felt heavy, uncertain, and frightening, begins to move differently for you. Freedom is not something outside, it is the space you create within, the unshackling of your mind and heart from all that binds you. This freedom changes everything. Ordinary moments, once overlooked, become rich and vibrant. A smile from a stranger, the sound of wind through trees, the taste of food, the laughter of a friend, these small things suddenly feel extraordinary. When fear is gone, the mind no longer weighs down experience. When attachment loosens, the heart no longer clings to the past or worries about the future. You begin to see life as it truly is, alive and flowing, not as something to manage, control, or fear. Failures, losses, disappointments, they no longer break you. They no longer feel like personal attacks or signs of inadequacy. In freedom, you see them as teachers, as part of the natural unfolding of life. Every ending becomes a beginning. Every mistake is a lesson. Every challenge is an opportunity to deepen your presence, to strengthen your calm, to cultivate trust in the flow of existence. The weight of fear no longer clouds your perception. Life itself feels like a gift, unwrapping itself moment by moment. Love, too, transforms. When you are free, your love is not desperate, grasping, or controlling. It is open, generous, and light. You can love without clinging, without demanding, without fearing loss. You can give fully and receive fully because your heart is no longer chained to expectation. Relationships deepen, not because you try to hold on to them, but because your presence allows them to flourish naturally. Even your own self begins to feel different. You no longer define yourself by what you have, who you know, or what you achieve. You see that your essence is enough. You are complete in your being, alive in your presence, whole in your openness. The need to prove, to protect, to cling, slowly falls away. In this space, life flows effortlessly. You breathe deeply, move lightly, and exist with a quiet confidence that nothing outside yourself can take away. And here is the quiet miracle. Freedom is contagious. Once you taste it, it spreads into every corner of your life. Your actions become calmer, your words become softer, your mind becomes clearer, your heart becomes braver. You begin to notice the beauty in the small, the sacred in the simple, the extraordinary in the ordinary. Life is no longer a burden to bear, but a river to move through, ever changing, ever flowing, endlessly alive. True freedom transforms not just the way you see life, but the way you live it. Fear disappears because it has no home. Worry dissolves because it is no longer fed by attachment. You move with grace, clarity, and courage. You meet every moment, fully awake and present. You no longer wait for life to feel safe or perfect. You discover that the moment is enough. You discover that you are enough. And finally, you realize that freedom is not something far away, something to achieve someday. It is here, now, in every breath you take, in every choice to let go, in every moment you allow life to be as it is. When you release, truly release, you discover that life is not something to fear. It is something to live fully, freely, and beautifully. The chains fall away, the shadows disappear, and you are left with the profound, simple truth. Life is alive, and so are you, completely free. Now, take a deep breath and feel it. Feel your chest open, your mind clear, your heart lighter than it has been in years. You've seen the truth. Fear was never outside of you. Attachment was never outside of you. Life has always been flowing, always alive, always waiting for you to release, to trust, to let go. Remember this moment. Remember that everything you feared losing, everything you clung to, everything that weighed your heart down, it was never real. The only real thing is freedom, and it has been here all along inside you, waiting for you to open your hands, release your grip, and allow life to move naturally. Whatever happens after this video, carry this with you. You do not need to control. You do not need to force. You do not need to hold so tightly. Step into the flow, breathe into the moment, and trust yourself and life. The chains fall away, the shadows disappear, and what is left is the pure, unshakable, effortless presence of who you truly are.